documents. You're gonna like these. I found these from the Oyster Ponds collection, and they're all from the Suffolk Times.
Yep.
Still comes out on Thursday, just like it did in 1862. So
Weekly.
It's August 28th, 1862. Greenport, New York. We're on Long Island. What could be going on in 1862?
I don't know. Civil War?
Civil War.
So yeah, historical context, Civil War is in its first full year.
Yep.
Started in April of 1861. We're in New York, so New York remained loyal to the Union. So we are a Union state, fighting to preserve the Union still. This is pre-Emancipation Proclamation, January 1st of 1863.
Yep.
Lincoln's, State of the Union, kind of where we are.
So, being that we're getting into the war, and the reason why, I pulled out like 4 small sections of this paper, and apparently, there was always, just like any war, there's going to be the need for troops,
Yep.
for men. And of course, when we look at how you're going to get troops in an army, you can either enlist, volunteer, or you can get drafted, voluntold. So, let's take a look at them. So, the first one, all right, when we're looking at audience, again, boom, young men.
Yes.
Young men, your country calls you. The manner in which you meet this call will be for the glory to yourselves, or for a future life of bitter reproaches. A drafted man will be more honored than he who stays at home. But what is more honorable, or where is there more glory, than to have it recorded? He volunteered for his love, for his country. Good men who need the liberal bounties, take them now. The time is short.
It's a call to arms.
What's interesting is that when we get to later on, when we're looking at World War I, World War II recruitment posters, you have the same themes, but you have much more color, much more vibrant colors, using characters, using beautiful blondes to drive your point across, and Uncle Sam. But I think the way they do that with language here is just as well.
You'll be more honored than those who stay at home. Love of country. It's not openly questioning your manhood, your toughness, but it's a subtle.
It's kind of there
beneath the surface.
It's there.
That you who fight will be more honored than thee who stays home.
Right. The people who have to be forced, the drafted man, well, now he's not going to have much, I guess, character, or he's not as tough as somebody who goes and volunteers.
Right.
So you still have the reasons as to why. Do it for country. Do it for this. We have our audience as well. All right. Let's check out another one. And these were just put out on this paper in different spots, and it was just fun for me to check out. Young man, again, there's our audience. You who have been proud to say, I am an American, and glory in the names of Washington, Franklin, Jefferson, Warren, and Adams, why do you not volunteer? Ask yourself and satisfy yourself that you are doing your duty to remain home, if you can. Young man, are you dependent upon your widowed mother for support? Or is your father, in perhaps moderate circumstances, bound to supply your wants? When the country is in danger, don't be ranked among cowards. Your duty always calls to you the service of your God and your country. So now I'm starting to see a little bit of more of a challenging man.
This definitely is not a subtle suggestion. This is now calling you, are you a coward?
Yep.
If you don't volunteer, you are a coward. And it's questioning, why are you staying home?
Right.
Mom's a widow.
Right.
Dad is less fortunate. Your country is bigger than them.
Right.
Your country is more important than your individual circumstances. Cowards.
And of course, they bring in these names.
Yeah.
Washington, Franklin, Jefferson, Warren, and Adams. They're bringing up these names to go, hey, look, look at what these guys have done who come before you.
Look at what they sacrificed for their country.
Right.
Warren, we were looking up, is killed at the Battle of Bunker Hill. Dr. Warren. Washington leaves home during the Revolution, doesn't see his wife for 7 years.
Yeah.
What they sacrificed, their personal wealths that were on the line as well, with Washington and Jefferson.
So it's interesting, and we start to see a shift as we get to these other documents. They're calling on young men, they're telling you why, and then they're questioning your manhood. Now, these other 2 little snippets are pretty interesting. Now, again, it's interesting to look at how people are being impacted by the Civil War. It's 1862. This is just from a small local paper in Greenport, Long Island. It'd be interesting to see what the southern newspapers would look like, because a lot of that war was being fought, in the South.
Or even an urban broadcast, urban broadside.
And even with the amount, I'm trying to remember, oh my gosh, I read the book, but you did have some people that volunteered from Long Island, small handful, small handful. You know, I want to say the numbers like somewhere around 12 on the eastern end of Long Island to hold me to that. There was a couple who didn't make it back, and so there was a.
Because Long Island at this time, don't forget, you know, 1862 is still very rural.
Yes.
You know, really outside of Brooklyn.
Right.
You know, there really isn't much to Long Island. Suffolk and Nassau counties are I mean, they exist, but the populations are almost non-existent.
Now these next two are pretty cool. This is like I knew you'd get a kick out of this. At a recruiting meeting in Western New York last week, one of the speakers had been urging the men to sign the roll and told the women to hurry them up. When a woman rose in the meeting and addressed her husband substantially as follows: "Ira, you said before you came here tonight that you would enlist. If you don't do it, go straight home and take off those breeches and let me have them, and I will go myself." This brought down the house and brought up Ira, who became a volunteer. Wow.
Yeah. You know, so we need to understand the term breeches.
Yeah, that's-
Breeches are your pants.
Yep.
You know, so go home, take off the pants. I'll wear them. You can wear my dress, almost. Definitely, wife here is questioning Ira's manhood. Wonder what wife's name is. Doesn't give it to us. No. That's a lady for you.
You know what this is? This is also the inspiration of a pretty good poster. If you could think it, if you could imagine it.
Yes.
You know, recruiting meeting, the woman with the bubble.
He's kind of like
He's
this.
kind of like, oh my god,
she's
I
embarrassing
can't
me.
take her anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and again, you know, when you're looking at the military, you look at your reasons for enlisting today. Money for college, good job, lots of benefits. You didn't have that during then. So you have like, how am I going to get you to enlist? I'm either going to tell you you're going to do it for love of your fellow man and country, or I'm going to make you feel like a sissy, and you're going to want to
Yep.
enlist.
Yeah.
So anything else we want with this one? A recruiting meeting. It's interesting to see that there was these meetings that were going on. Apparently, this was an organized effort to get people in.
Right, and I've been telling us that this is Western New York.
Right.
That this isn't the East End of Long Island.
This was taken from the Eastern Long Island newspaper.
Right.
Yeah.
But
the setting.
it
Yes.
also goes to show you how quickly news travels.
Yep.
You know, thanks in part to the telegraph.
Yep.
You know, which is one of the weapons that does help us win the war. So
Yep.
just, you know, putting that into context.
This one you're gonna like. Oh my God. Now we get into, you know, your first two is like, hey, sign up, do it for love of country. Sign up, do it because your wife just pulled your punk card and made you feel like a wimp. We have a totally different one, and it's almost like we're playing. Which wife is yours in these? And you'll see what I mean in a second. Evading the draft. So now evading means to get away from it. I love this one. And we have heard of a new mode evading the draft. So apparently people were trying to get out of
Yeah.
fighting. Which, by the way, is not patented. A woman, not many miles from this village, fearing her husband might be drafted, took occasion to deprive him of his digits while asleep. Stealing slyly to his bed with an axe and block, with blunt blow, the country was deprived of a good soldier and a good citizen of 2 fingers. And this just leaves me here wanting to know more, but this is all we got.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so clearly this is being depicted that,
Sure.
that the wife doesn't want her husband to
Yes.
volunteer. Maybe he is planning on going. So in the middle of the night, boom, she cuts off two of his fingers.
That'll fix it. You see, you guess these two. I guess these two. I don't know.
Yeah, I figured more the index finger definitely for pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
I don't think the thumb,
Who
but
knows?
maybe.
You're
Yeah,
still a
who
different
knows?
person.
But-
you're still gonna find out who loves you if
But
you're a righty,
I'm also
you know?
questioning, is this the story they came up with?
Right.
Did he say, cut my fingers off because I don't want to volunteer? And she's like, I don't want you to go.
Right.
Yes, let's do something like this. Not uncommon. You know, people, especially during the Vietnam War era.
Of course.
You know, faking injuries or, in fact, you know, causing bodily harm to themselves to get them out of the war. So a lot of questions being asked.
A lot of. I mean, and the other thing is too. You know, probably a farming family. Did they have a big family? You know.
Right.
Was she unable to work the farm? Were the kids too little where you didn't have the oldest who was like in his teens to work the farm? There's like a lot of questions that come into mind.
I mean,
It's so
part of
funny.
me hopes this is real.
Because
Because I'm envisioning the guy just like
Yeah.
waking up in like agony, like, what just happened?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, blood pouring out onto his bed and like seeing his fingers and. Yeah.
Jeez. No, the funny thing is that like, you know, is your wife in here, or is she cutting off your fingers, or is she pulling your punk card?
Ooh.
That's a good one.
I think she's cutting off my fingers.
Yeah, mine too.
She doesn't want me to go.
When I was getting ready to get deployed to Iraq,
Yeah.
my wife kept saying, "Hey, take out the ladder and go up there." She's kind of because she brought it up a couple times jokingly, and that just goes to show you that it's one of those things where people did, people
Yeah.
would fall off a ladder, people would break their leg to kind of get out of fighting.
Yeah.
Love these documents;
These
they're
are
really
good.
cool.
Good stuff.
I mean, had me wanting to know more, more questions and answers, but this is a good starting point. All right, good. Thank you for watching.